everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Babatunde-Ikotun. I'm a faith and lifestyle content creator living in Ontario, Canada. If this is your first time stopping by, you're very much welcome, and if you're a returning subscriber, shout out to you. You're the best. The topic of today, I'll be talking about 10 things you should be talking about before you say I do. Marriage is beautiful, right? And I don't consider myself an expert. I've only been married for like 3 years now, so I'm not an expert, but I'll always share a few things that I have learned along the way, things I've counseled people about, and I really hope it helps you as you make that journey to saying I do. So these are not in any particular list. I'm not ranking it from most important to least important. I think everything is important, but I think you should all start talking about it. Number one, kids. Do you want to have kids? If yes, how many children do you want to have? After how many children do you want to have? What is the ideal child spacing for these children? This is a very important conversation, because you don't want to like almost get married to someone and find out that they don't want kids and you want kids, or maybe they want 5 and you want 2 and all that jazz. Just talk about it. And the good thing is that with these conversations, you can always meet a compromise. So it's not about winning, but it's about doing something that works for you. But as women, I feel like a lot of times it's very easy for you to compromise. So if you're a woman that doesn't want to have children, if you really love someone, you may decide to do it, but it might not end well. It might end well. It's up to you. So that's very, very important. Children, how many do you want to have? When do you want to have it? What's the child spacing? And child spacing conversation is important as well, because sometimes I don't know how our parents did the 2 years, because it's not very realistic. I think between 3 to 4 years between children might be more sustainable, especially if you're a working woman and you want to be able to take good times away. Like, you don't want to have to take time off work now and time off work next year. So, and this is just my opinion, right? Your goals may be different from mine, your desires may be different from mine, so just make sure you talk about it and make a decision as a united front. Second thing I would like you to talk about is parenting styles, right? Is one pro spanking, spank that child and let that child have sense? Or are you bored about emotional intelligence, making sure your children don't experience violence as a means to course correct or to behave themselves? And it's very, very important to talk about this, because if you're not on a united front, one person would not be working to build emotionally intelligent, empathetic children, and another person just believes, I'll give you a dirty slap if you do anyhow, right? Teaching your children gentle parenting is a lot of work. It doesn't mean that you're trying to raise brats or rude. No. It's, yeah, just talk about it. Parenting style is very, very important. Next thing, finances. Are we going to have a joint account? Are we going to have separate accounts? How much debt do you have? How much debt do I have? Am I willing to pay for your debt? Are you willing to pay for mine? Like, what is the situation with your finances? I know for a lot of old Nigerian households, men were primarily the providers, like they provided for everything in the home. That is currently no longer sustainable or realistic in this economy that we're in, and I would always advise women to have your own money, work for your own money, don't rely on anybody. Like, yeah, just do that, work for your money. But talk about it. How are we going to handle bills? Whose account is rent is gonna whose account will rent come out from? Who is in charge of the finances? Talk about these things, and yeah, make a decision, make a joint decision. Not everyone needs to have a joint account. You can have joint accounts for specific projects, but yeah, some churches, they highly recommend that you have a joint account for transparency between couples. Some don't. It's really, really up to you. But that's how are you going to handle your finances? If you have student loan, like, what is the gist? Are you going to sign your prenup so you don't inherit each other's student loan or not? Just talk about money. Like, a lot of us don't talk about money enough. How much do we earn? I know for a lot of people from where we come from in Nigeria, men hardly talk about their finances, because you feel like if this woman knows how much I'm earning, she's going to judge me a certain way. And if you're in a woman that's going to judge you a certain way because of money, I don't know whether you should go ahead and marry her or not. So that's up to you. And women, don't be acting anyhow because of money. It's just money. What you have between yourself and your man is beautiful. Like, don't let money be behavior change. Don't let your behavior change because of money or lack thereof. I feel like you should really talk about money. Point number 4, dynamics. How are you with your family? Are we okay with family coming to stay with us for a week or 2 or months? Are we not okay? Do we give money to our parents? Do we not? If our siblings ask for money, what's our structure around it? But family dynamics is very important, and making that agreement as a couple, like, this is what my extended family, like, some of us come from like really close-knit family, some of us don't, so that can really impact your marriage. Are you that kind of person that you have to talk to your mom like 4 times in a day, and your spouse is somebody that talks to his mom once a week? I'm not saying either is bad, right? We're all different people, we have different upbringing, but talk about it. What are the family dynamics like, and what are we going to allow as a couple? Are we going to be running to our parents when we have disagreements, or are we going to sit with one another and discuss it as adults that we are? Talk about it, ask opinions. Like, people should just have heart conversations. And I want to add a caveat, right? Many times we overestimate ourselves, we overestimate how liberal we are, we overestimate what we think we believe in. So when someone is giving you answers, when you yourself you're giving answers, leave room for margin of error. Because I've had situations where men promised their wives, like, oh, don't worry, when you're pregnant, when you have your children, I will take care of cooking, I will take care of everything, you just relax. And when that happened, it didn't happen, because if you're not cooking before she carried belly, like, do you think you'll be cooking when she can? So we think we're very liberal. We no. So leave room for margin of error is very important. Number 5, religious convictions. And this is very important. I have a video, I'll put it in the description box and maybe the info card, with a very good friend talking about religious convictions and like if how to manage like doctrinal differences between husband and wife. But you need to get to the root. What do you believe? I believe salvation is eternal. You believe you have to work for your salvation. I believe this, you believe that. I believe in praying in tongues, you don't. I'm not saying these things should be deal breakers. I'm just saying you have to come together as a couple to agree. Oh, if something happens, if the enemy strikes, are we picking the phone to call our pastor to pray for us, or are we putting our hands together as believers and declaring God's word over that situation, right? So have these conversations. What do they really believe? Our eyes have seen stuff, because you can think somebody is saved, but then you ask them, oh, do you even really believe that Jesus Christ died and was buried and resurrected for you? And they're like, oh, not really, it's just something that they told us to do growing up. Like, they just told us to go to church growing up and become a good person and walk in church. And you're like, oh, you don't believe, and you find out that this person is not saved, right? So it's very important to talk about religious convictions. Next one I think y'all should talk about is expectations. Sorry, I'm laughing because the scripture keeps to mind that said the expectation of the righteous shall not be cut off. But you should talk about expectations, because I have seen cases where people do not talk, and the husband expects the wife to cook fresh meals every day, and the wife is a I will cook but put in the freezer kind of person, and then they start having arguments. Because the thing about Christian marriage is that because we're not having sex before marriage, right, we're just thinking sex. Oh yeah, when you had the sex and your eye has cleared, these are things you have to face as a couple. So discuss expectations, right? What do you expect of me as a wife? What do you expect of me as a husband? So it will not be a shock, right? You see things like, oh, I expect that you cook for us daily. You're like, oh, about ordering food sometimes and food from freezer. And it's like, no. I don't eat freezer, and I don't eat another woman's food. So you have to talk about it. If you're okay with that, for sure, like, you're not a bad person for being okay with wanting to cook for your husband every day like that. If you float your boat, then by all means. Or what if your wife expects that only you will carry every single bill, mortgage, car payment, taxes, electricity, what like that? Like, she believes that your money is our money, our money is our own money. So you need to have these conversations and determine like what the expectations are. Sexual expectations. Are you expecting that you want me to be putting on a show for you each time we have sex. It has to be fire and brimstones every time. Do you expect of me to keep you on your toes at all times and making the atmosphere very sexual and charged? Or are you okay with the steady? Are you okay with the calm? Are you okay with a little bit of intimacy here and there? Do you want to have sex with me every single day? Or are you okay with 3 to 4 times a week, right? So talk about it, expectations, and you can watch my video about sex, how to determine sexual compatibility without having sex, because as a believer you're not meant to be having sex before you get married. I'll put the link in the description and also the info card here so you can watch that video. So you need to talk about these things, like what are your expectations, financial obligations, domestic expectations, sexual expectations. Do you expect me to be sending money to your father and your mother every week or every month? What are your expectations, right? What do you expect of me? What do you do? Like, if I'm building house for myself in the village, I'm not going to be building one for, like, talk about these things, because you'll be surprised what many people expect of their partner in marriage. The next one I want to talk about is career aspirations. What do you want to do with your life? I think couples don't talk about that enough. A lot of times we just go with the flow. So if you're a hyper professional woman and your husband is a business owner, is it a bad fit? Of course not. But you need to talk about this. Like, is there a point in time you expect me to quit my job to focus solely on raising and parenting our children? Am I saying it's wrong? Of course not, is wrong, especially in this day and age. Somebody has to be stay at home, dad or mom, at some point if you can afford it. Many times people can afford it, but at this day and age, it's something to be considered. So do you have an expectation that, oh, my mom stopped working when she had all of us so she can focus on us? She didn't work for the last 10 years of her she didn't work for 15 years so that she can take care of us, so I expect that of my wife. So it's not being marriage and it's like, why haven't you quit your job? You're almost due, and like, quit my job for what? I'm taking mat leave and going back when our baby is 6 months or 1 year. So talk about these things, because you're very like, what are your career goals? Where do you see yourself in the next 30 years? Because if you're not talking about these things, it's will be very easy for you to compromise. And when you, like, compromise is healthy in a relationship. Like, you will compromise here and there, but when you compromise yourself so hard that all you have is resentment, that because you quit your job to be a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home dad, and you see your mates doing the things you ought to be doing, and you're looking, that could have been me, even, do you understand? So don't over compromise into a point that would lead you to start resenting this person. So as you compromise with your brain, not just your heart or your emotions or things like that. So it's very, very important. So next one I think you should talk about is political beliefs, right? What do you believe politically? Like, what are your views about politics? Because it's very important. Like, and again, this whole conversation is not to break you apart, but it's to help you build a foundation that as you grow older together as a couple, you keep, like, it's just something to lean on, right? We're not all meant to be the same. You and your partner, you're not meant to be exactly the same people. You are allowed to be diverse in your thinking, in your perspective, in your way of life, in your outlook. Not diverse up until the point like there's no synchrony, right? You still have to be synchronized, but be diverse. It makes it fun. It makes it easy for you guys to keep learning things about one another. But ask about political views. What are your political views about certain candidates, certain ideologies, and all of that, so you can be on the same page. The next thing is talk about divorce. I know the Christian here saying, God forbid when I'm married to be forever. It's true, right? But the reason I say talk about divorce is nobody prays to be divorced, but situations happen. Talk about what are your grounds for divorce. Like, at some point, what point would you ever say, I'm done with this marriage? For some people, it's infidelity, right? If you cheat on me, deuces. For some people, it's abuse. If you slap me, if you do anything physical to me, I don't care if you love me, I am leaving. So talk about it. What would be that? What is your I'm going to divorce you? Because many times people don't talk about these things. God forbid, divorce will not be our portion. We'll continue to walk by the Spirit and not fulfill the desires of the flesh when it comes to our relationship with our partners. But I think you should talk about this. And I feel like as you have these conversations, don't accept when we cross this bridge, we will address it. Because when you cross the bridge, it's already too far, it's too late. So talk about these things. What are your opinions about divorce? Right? I had a friend for a long time, she didn't think like divorce. Our own is, oh, if we fall out of love, then we can divorce. I mean, by God's grace, she has changed their mindset concerning us. I have my reservations about that, but that's not what this video is about. So very important, talk about it. What are your grounds for divorce? What are your I'm done? For many people, it's abuse. If you abuse me, I am leaving you. Like, I'm not going to subject myself to any form of torture. So talk about it. It's not a prayer, but still talk about it. Another thing I think you should be talking about is childhood traumas. A lot of people went through sexual assault, even as men. So men, don't say, oh, I wasn't assaulted, I enjoyed it. If a 30-year-old woman is sleeping with you at the age of 11, my darling, I'm sorry, you were sexually abused. So talk about these things, right? Talking about it, seeking help if you need to, working together as a couple. Talk about it. Were you beaten? Were you abused? Did you lack attention? Because what this thing also helps you to do as a couple is to understand how to relate to one another. If you were a child that was neglected, right? Your parents could leave you at home all by yourself for 9 hours and not bat an eyelash. There's a chance that you have neglect. you have issues with being neglected. So if your partner knows that as a child you were neglected a lot, they know to cater for you and give you extra attention. They know that, okay, going hours without talking to you as their partner will open your anxiety or make you feel like you're no longer loved. So talk about these things. What are your childhood traumas, right? If you went to a boarding school in Nigeria, you have a lot. There are a lot of things that scare you. Some of us today, we're still afraid of the dark because of childhood traumas. So talk about these things. This is how you build friendship, this is how you build relationship. And these things, like I said, we overestimate ourselves. So let there be margin of error. As Christians, we give grace to one another, right? So even if your partner makes a mistake, you give grace, you forgive you. So if tomorrow they said, oh, I'm a lovely cook, I love to cook, and when you get married, they leave the cooking for you. People change as well, right? We also change, right? Some phases in your life, you'll be drawn to certain things. As a young woman, you may be drawn to spending time in the kitchen. As you advance in your career, maybe you prefer to outsource that service. It's not bad, we change. So also leaving room for change, leaving room for both of you to evolve, leaving room for you to evolve into a better and more improved, more refined version of yourself that has different preferences. And that's the beauty about a long-lived marriage, right? You get to know different phases of one another. You keep relearning. Oh, my wife now likes this. Oh, she now does this. My husband, like, that's the beauty of marriage. I don't know how many points I've shared, and I don't know if it's up to 10, but if you think there are more things that people should talk about, please put it in the chat below. I'm gonna go back to finances because I forgot to mention something. Also, when it comes to financial beliefs, like your financial belief system, like, do you believe in investment? Do you believe in saving? Do you believe in we only have one life, so we must enjoy it to the fullest? Tomorrow is not guaranteed, so why not eat all the money? What are your beliefs? What are your habits about money? And these are also things that you would have to observe. So hopefully one person is more prudent and one person is more lavish, which is good because then it helps with a good balance. You don't want to be so prudent that you don't even enjoy at all, and you don't want to be so lavish that you don't even save at all. So it's coming together to give each other that beautiful balance is very key. Alrighty, so those are 10 points that shared about things to chat with one another before you say I do. These are just things you need to talk about. Please don't put it under the table, don't shelf it. Like, it's so key. My prayer for every single person watching this is that you would have a wonderful marriage, the one that mirrors Christ and the church, that you're filled with so much joy and you're just enjoying everything that marriage can offer. Marriage is beautiful. I'm enjoying my marriage, and I pray that you would enjoy yours too. Is it going to be perfect all the time? Of course not. I'm not perfect. I'm perfect is overrated anyways. But the most important thing is like you always have your person to love and to hold and to cherish. All right. If you have more things that you spoke to your partner about before getting married, please put it in the caption, or rather put it in the comment section. I want to learn. I like to learn. Even I've been married now, like I still talk to my husband about these things because we keep learning, we keep growing, we keep sharing, we keep, that's it. It's about life. You learn, you unlearn, you relearn, and it's a circle. So leave in the comment below. I love to learn from you. If you disagree with anything that I said, also leave it in the comment below. Like, it's no big deal. Let's chat, let's dialogue. If you've enjoyed this video, please smash that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Also share this video, share it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and on your WhatsApp status. I love it when you do that. Thank you so much for watching this. God bless you, and remember, God is not angry with you. Till next time, bye.
Liquid mix.